Hi everyone, Darren Hunter here. I'm with Michael Sanz. This is the Outsourced PM podcast show. And we are talking today about myths. My goodness me, Michael, when we say statements like you can outsource 80% of your property management tasks successfully using virtual assistants, I know there's something that pops up into everyone's mind and all the mindset issues start coming in, all the reasons that you think what we've just said isn't true. So today, Michael, we're going to deal with the 7 myths, the big myths. Now, there's lots of them, but we're just going to focus on 7 today. Michael, why were you so keen to want to do this?
Oh, Darren, we hear everywhere, every day from people across, America, United Kingdom, New Zealand, Australia about why they don't look at outsourcing. And my friend had a VA, or I heard from my brother's cousin uncle about something that happened with a VA, and horror stories. But we also hear so many amazing stories where VAs have helped businesses through COVID, helped those small to medium businesses reorganize their admin, allowing them to go from strength to strength. So I thought it was only natural that we did a session on some of the myths that we hear and we see around virtual assistants.
Yeah, I think it's a great topic. I was really excited. And just everybody out there, yes, virtual assistants can very successfully do up to 80% of your tasks, which means you're taking off your valued property management team, those mundane tasks, just wear them down anyway. Michael, you had a rent roll in Melbourne of 650 properties. Spread across 84 suburbs with only 1.5 staff on the ground, which means you had a team of virtual assistants. So it works, right?
Yeah, it does. And, like going through this journey the last few years, when people told me that I normally wasn't a patient person, I think that over the last 10, 15 years, I've been exceptionally patient because when I took on virtual assistants, when I was bringing them in my team, going through the training process, I learned that there are times when things are tough. I learned that when you employ humans in your office, there are times when it's tough. We see that now, Darren, there are people out there that hire a VA and they just think that the virtual assistant is ready-made, fully trained up to the standard of an experienced senior property manager.
Now, just also everyone, for those 30 different tasks, which is about 80% of what what keeps your team busy with, just go to teamsbydesigntasks.com. That's teamsbydesigntasks.com for the list of 30 different tasks. So let's get into it. 7 virtual assistant myths or myth busting or whatever we want to do, Michael. The first one is the first myth we're going to bust, and we're going to burst right now. The myth is virtual assistants don't make mistakes, or should we say virtual assistants shouldn't make mistakes? Why is this a myth?
We did a post, Darren, recently, and we know this anyway, but we did a post on what are the mistakes that a property manager can make in the office. And we had things coming up from experienced property managers saying, maybe like an incorrect lease date or a missed call or something with a routine, or like whatever the typical errors that someone physical in the office can make was listed. And when you think about it, Darren, if experienced senior property managers and property managers that have been in the industry for like years, like decades even, make small basic mistakes, it would be understood and accepted that someone who is new to the business, new in the industry, might also make some mistakes. We did a study that around errors that virtual assistants make compared to what property managers make, and property managers make more mistakes than virtual assistants typically. But the only difference is, Darren, when a PM in an office makes a mistake, it's more forgiven. It's more kind of accepted and moved on, and because someone else in the office kind of picks it up and does it themselves. But when you've got a virtual assistant working for you, it's more under the microscope. And then, there's more, you made a good reference that, virtual assistant is part of the family when they're working with you, but as soon as they make a mistake, they're a freelance person working in another country, on the other side of the world.
And a service to the virtual assistant company that's supplying the service is there to be criticized. So I guess I think the message we want to make out of this is treat your virtual assistant like a team member, but also when they make mistakes, treat them like a team member and understand that. And of course, this is where all the training needs to go in and the resources that are there. There's so many companies, Michael, that number one, don't put the work into getting in a library of this is how we do these tasks in screen recordings, and then they don't put the work in, they rush it, they say they haven't got time for it, but then they're critical about the virtual assistant making mistakes because they haven't got the accurate resources to learn from.
One of the and I'm probably going off on a tangent, but one of the things that I see, most offices do not have any detailed process maps. They have no procedures. They have no workflows. They are flying by the seat of their pants, and they expect anyone, new staff member, physical, or someone external logging in, to understand what's in their brain. And as we know, we do those exercises, Darren, at our events about communication, and everyone communicates differently. And how they're explained on how to do tasks, they interpret differently. Like we see this through physical property managers. So yeah, it's don't think that your virtual assistant is superhuman.
Well, this really leads on. Let's just move very quickly to the next myth, is that virtual assistants don't need training. Why is that a myth?
Yeah, I think everyone needs training, Darren. I mean, look, if I'm an experienced property manager, I've been in real estate for a long time. I understand sales, mortgage broking. I know what I know. Now, if you had a property management agency and you wanted me to come and work for you, I would come and I would know my experiences and what to do. But how you want me to do it in your office, how you want your notes saved and filed, how you want me to engage with your current landlords, all those things on how you want things done, I don't know. And I might have 15 or 20 years of bad experience, right, coming into your office because you want things done your way. And we see this with virtual assistants too, even ones that have experience, changing CRMs, note-taking, the process around maintenance. Darren, the process around maintenance, it should be simple, right? You've got all these maintenance software and CRMs that have maintenance. But if I come into your office, I don't know which owners have an approved limit. I don't know which owners have a preferred tradesperson, because your notes, your notes will be up to date, but most property management companies don't have updated notes. It's all
well, they do have notes, Michael, but it's in their head.
It's in their head, and I can't reach into their head to find out their notes. So that's why we need some level of training. Now, we train our guys, 2 to 3 weeks of real estate basic training, IGT, other platforms too. So when they start, they've got a good book knowledge. But people need a practical knowledge too. Everyone needs it. Experienced people need it. When I used to go temping sometimes, helping other offices, I would go in and say, where is everything at? This is a mess. This is how I do it. But it works for them.
Yeah.
So training is important. I think with any task, any job, any industry, you need onboarding training.
So I've just recently needed with our executive assistant, Bev, who lives in Manila, and she's an amazing, we won't call her a virtual assistant, she's an executive assistant, and she just frees me up on all my emails and calls my clients and does whatever we need her to do. And she really does run IGT, doesn't she? She's absolutely amazing. Of course, if you want to talk about an executive assistant as well, reach out to Teams by Design. Just go to teamsbydesign.com and go to contact us. I'm about to, I've been training Bev on taking over, onboarding a lot of my coaching clients. And so I've had to do a checklist. I've gone and screen recorded a number of the tasks, particularly around preparing the contracts and then getting them out. Also in getting the links out for payment, all of those sort of things there, the resources they're going to need. And so where a line of text doesn't give enough detail, I've done screen recordings using Loom, that's loom.com. or using Zoom, recording and loading it to YouTube as an unlisted link. But, you know, I can't expect Bev to do what I need her to do accurately if I haven't given her accurate instructions. And so accuracy results in accuracy, everybody. Really, really important. And that's why you've got to put the time into that training. But again, there are ways and means around that. You can be doing it on the go while you're actually doing a task right now. You could be recording it. But of course, reach out to Michael at Teams by Design, and he'll be able to give you some hints and tips, no doubt, Michael, around the best ways to get prepared for a virtual assistant if you're thinking about bringing one on sooner or later. Okay, moving on. The next one, Michael, the next myth, I think this is a good one, is the myth is that the virtual assistant doesn't need love, care, focus, and attention like a normal team member. That's the myth, Michael. Why is that a myth? Why do we need to burst that bubble?
They're humans, they're not robots, it's not artificial intelligence. It can be quite lonely for a virtual assistant when they're working from home and their only communication with the office is an email every now and again from them. And they might see on their social media that they're going out for lunch and they're celebrating a birthday and they're doing team building events, but they hear nothing they just hear nothing, silence. It's important that they feel loved, valued, and wanted. Like we touched on before, they might be like that at the start, an error might kick in, and all of a sudden they're a third-party contractor that's making mistakes and disposable. But when they feel like included, taught, explained, gone over and clarified or felt heard, you get loyalty, you get value, you get long-term relationship.
When a person's appreciated, their performance just goes through the roof. And you want to get the best value, the best bang for your buck with your virtual assistant payment that you're making in your investment. You want to make sure it's performing at its best. They are people, they want to be appreciated. You understand that with your own team, they are part of your team. They're not as you said, we don't treat them like robots. And we do stay in contact with them. So what are some of very quickly, Michael, what are some of the things that we could be, keeping them in the picture? How can we love, care? What's some of the things that some of your best clients do to keep that person as part of the team?
Send them random flowers, birthday presents, birthday acknowledgement, general thank yous, just acknowledging the work they've done. We often send out to our team, like food, lunches or dinners. We let our clients know. We have had clients, staff that have had babies, and clients have put money together to buy presents for the mum, and things just makes them feel included and valid. And small things, low cost, high perceived value. You don't need to be spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars to make people feel good.
And no cost, saying, hey, we really appreciate you. We wouldn't be able to do all of this work if it wasn't for you. And we just want to thank you so much for what you've done. There's even an office you've told me about, Michael, that has a Zoom open all the time where the VA is doing their work and the office is doing their work, and they can see each other live through an open Zoom window, and keeping the window between, just like there's a window in the wall between you and the next office. You can see them working, and just keeps them part of the heartbeat and the pulse of what's going on in your office, because they very much want to be a part of that. So let's move on. The next myth, number 4, is, let's do a quick summary. The myths are they don't make mistakes, they don't need training, they don't need love, care, focus, and attention. And the next one is that you wanted to burst, the myth you want to bust, is you don't need to be checking a virtual assistant's work.
Yeah, this is always an interesting one, Darren. I mean, we have Teams by Design, and we have quite a lot of clients and staff and team leaders, supervisors. We oversee certain parts to how the team members are operating, but as far as the work that's being produced, you as the real estate agent, you as the office, just like you would with someone in your office, you need to be mindful of what's happening. You can't think that you got a virtual assistant and it's going to be absolutely flawless, especially to start, right? While they're understanding everything and how you want things done. It's important that you as the office, myself as the office, with my real estate agency, I would always kind of do spot checks. And that's with physical staff and staff that were remote. I didn't treat them any different just because they were overseas. It was the same. And I would expect officers to still do spot check. Darren, so often we see officers that are long-term, established, but the quality of the admin work in the office has just reduced over time because no one in the office was actually doing quality control and checking how the tasks were being done. We see files that are handed over from other agencies, right, to other reputable agencies, and they have things missing. There's no checklist, there's nothing, there's no correct workflow to that. Having a virtual assistant trained up well, they can fill in the gaps. They can go through and do that admin. They can make sure that there's a level of consistent level of administration being done across the board, right? It can keep the office, it can hold the office to a higher level of admin work than they were currently able to operate at. Property managers, they get comfortable. Sometimes I'll cut corners because, they're busy, they're flat out. But what if you had someone that was doing your compliance? Darren, I've got a mortgage broking business. A VA is needed to kind of go through everything with a fine-tooth comb to make sure all the documents are collected, everything is signed, the privacy, the credit statements, everything. If it was all on me, I would no doubt miss things. In fact, before I had someone checking them, I missed things. Like I would file things because I had the conversation with the borrower. But having someone there, it's another level, another layer.
Mm. All right, well, let's just keep on moving on. The next myth that you want to bust, Michael, is virtual assistants can do everything.
Yeah, this is a golden myth, I would say. People think that a virtual assistant's going to be their unicorn, the messiah, the person that's going to come in and do all their accounts, all of their general admin, all of their social media and creativity work, and hold it all together. I say to many clients that when we're onboarding team members and clients that you're not going to find someone that is really, really good at doing your invoices and accounts and good at doing your social media and creativity. It's a different personality. It's a different skill set. They might be able to do general of everything, but you're not going to get a fantastic output from them.
It's very similar that in sales, you've got a sales type person, but you wouldn't put a really good salesperson in property management because they won't follow checklists, they won't follow due process, they're crappy with their time, they're terrible with paperwork, and you'd probably kill them. And you'd kill the rent roll too by putting a salesperson into it. Just like virtual assistants are really good at certain tasks and not so good at others. And you just need to make sure that you're recruiting that right person for a set of tasks. Now, with Teams by Design, Michael, you actually put people through an 11 checkpoint process in recruitment. I mean, why so many tough filters? Because out of 100 applicants, you'd only sort of select 2, but what is the type of person that suited for property management?
It's someone that is attention to detail. Typically, it's almost a combination of introvert and extrovert. Someone who's not afraid to pick up the phone, but also someone that can do work with their head down and bottom up. We were dealing with someone a while ago, and we advised them in the meeting they wanted invoices done and they wanted admin work done. And I said, look, for this role, you're not going to find someone to that level what you need in invoices. So I wouldn't be giving them any invoices to do, just do the admin. And if you want, we can help place an accountant, someone who's actually good with numbers to do that role. And, understood, noted. And then I found out a little while later that they were getting their assistant to do all the invoices. Never done invoices before, never had experience with numbers, never had anything to do with rents and debits and credits. And I said, they made a mistake on an invoice. And I said, yeah, but that's the wrong person to be doing that task. And like we said at the start, that's the wrong person. You need to have this type of person to be doing those tasks. And that's where, you get that sour taste in the mouth. So it's really important that you understand, you choose your assistant with the right ability to do the tasks that you need them to do. That's why we're here to help, Darren. Like, people, when we speak with our clients, we say, what are the tasks you want to have done? And then we work out who the best person for that role is. And if it means I've got to put an accountant in to do, 5 or 6 hours of work a week.
And you can get accountants. In the Philippines, there's so many qualified people that have been to university with accountants. We've got a full-time bookkeeper working for IGT and Teams by Design. She's brilliant, but you wouldn't want to give her work to our marketing assistant, for example. We've got people specialized. We've got people just doing video editing that are experienced video editors, but we wouldn't want to give them bookkeeping. Oh my goodness me. Or we wouldn't want to get our wonderful nuts and bolts people in property management doing admin and assistant tasks on the phone to sell property management and trying to find more properties for the rent roll by making phone calls. It would not be suitable. So I think it makes sense that we've got to be careful around this, but of course, reach out to Michael and have a chat about what tasks that you'd like to outsource. And Michael would be very quick then to show you what type of person and the supply of people that are available for that as well. Because, finding a person to do basic virtual assistants is a bit different from an executive assistant, and different suppliers as well. So reach out to Michael on that. The last myth that we're going to break, all right, is the myth that we can't have virtual assistants speaking to our clients. And obviously the concerns are around English skills, cultural issues, all those sorts of things, Michael. Why is that a myth?
I would say over 500,000 phone calls, Darren. We've had maybe 4 people ever say, where am I speaking? And 3 of them were in a remote West Australian town from the same office, different people in the same office. So that's just a reflection of a cultural aspect. And the other one was in a small country town in the UK, like small country town, almost a village, I would say. The reality is, Darren, when we go to recruit people, we listen to the voice. Like, we make sure that they can speak to clients. It's just making sure they've got the human empathy ability to converse on a fluid level. But also horses for courses. You may not have your assistant speak to your owners, which I think that you, as the property manager of a real estate agency, should do all the main communication with your owners. But your assistant can do all your tenant communication, all your contractor, the vendor, the American term vendor, all the contractor information and communication, the VA can do. Because when tenants and tradies are calling, they've just got questions that they want answered. An owner will have probably more complicated or complex questions, greater understanding about the property that a VA may not know. But, we've got a particular person, Darren, at the moment, who just does maintenance. And for an office, they call the owners and say, hey, this is the report of maintenance. This is what I've got and this is what I can do. And the owners are more than comfortable speaking with the person on the phone. They don't even realize that they're speaking with someone remote at all. And Darren, if people are getting the value from the call, from the exchange, no one ever arcs up. Mm-hmm. It's only when they don't get what they're after, the information, that people start saying, well, let's escalate this.
I think, and Teams by Design rarely deal with this, because no one's going to employ or employ a virtual assistant using Teams by Design unless they've spoken with them first in an interview. Plus, when you're recruiting people, you ask for an audio file, a video file. So you're screening that before anyone is even presented, for a higher opportunity with a client. So the client has the full say, the full interview. They can hear for themselves the accent and the way that this person can speak. So they can be fully assured that they've got the right person on for what they want them to do.
Plus, we have full-time QA, quality assurance, that listens to all the calls. Agencies don't do this at all. We listen to the calls. We listen to empathy, sympathy. Did they say the outbound welcome, the end of call goodbye? Did they say it to the standard that we need them to say that? We give coaching. We do role playing. We do all these things so that everyone on the phone is consistent. Offices do not do this with their staff.
Look, I think let's wrap this up, Michael, but I'm just going to put it out there. We've talked about myths today, but you know what we haven't spoken about, Michael? Big butts. Big butts. And everyone out there has got a big butt, and your big butt might be different from someone else's big butt, but all these big butts out there are stopping you transforming your business and moving to a whole new way of doing property management in a way that you never thought was possible. And so, you know, when we say to you, you can successfully get virtual assistants doing up to 80% of your property management tasks, providing you an amazing recruitment solution, because it's so hard to get quality property management staff these days. And yeah, we're not saying that the virtual assistant should be doing the top end 20% of tasks. That's got to be done by an experienced, licensed property manager on the ground. But when we say these things to you, what's coming to mind? Are there still some other issues that we haven't addressed here? You're going, but it's not going to work because of this, or but it's not going to work because of that. Those buts are costing you huge. What I invite you to do is get your big but written down and write it down and get in touch with Michael. What's the best way for people to reach out to you, Michael?
Just go to teamsbydesign.com, contact us, and we will make a time to catch up on Zoom.
And this email, if you got this in an email as well, there will be a button you can book direct into Michael's diary. But please, please don't hang on to your big butts, because they are dragons in the fog. They're not real. Michael can easily answer them for you. Don't forget, he managed 650 properties with 1.5 staff in the office. The rest were virtual assistants. So if anyone's going to be able to talk to you about virtual assistants doing property management at an amazing level, it's going to be Michael. So reach out to Michael. But that was a really good session. 7 myths to bust. Really enjoyed that podcast. Thank you, Michael. And thanks, everyone. We'll see you in the next show.
Thanks, Darren.